This is a really good question. And I've been asked a questionnaire from a national group who is curious about the future of, I won't say America, but of the educational system concerning children. And the very good question that they ask me is, what do I know of the differences of the children today versus the children of yesterday? And what type of experiences am I receiving from from the current generation of children versus those in the old days? And explain that to you, to everyone who's listening. And I never thought about that, but that's good that people ask very good questions like that. And in the bottom portion of their email, they have explained the reason why it's important for them to know this is because times have changed, because of all the movements, because of feminism, because of single parenting home, and because of the how the education system fluctuates and have fluctuated through the years. So they just want to know from personal experience, from tutors and mentors like myself and others around your world. And I will add this: it's I understand teachers today. I really feel their pain. I feel what they have to go through in a classroom, and I'm glad I'm not a part of that circle. I'm glad I didn't sign up for that sort of system, because I can imagine how difficult it is. And when teachers are asking for more benefits, more initiative, more incentives to work around children, they have a good reason to ask that question. One of the things, it's not like what it used to be, because we are receiving here in this current generation the seeds of the previous generations of parents who did not care for the future, parents who did not see the true conditions of the mind of their little ones. And so what ends up happening is, when the parents do not raise the children properly, when they are absent-minded, they are half-hearted about it, they're going through their differences of divorce, of separation, going from house to house, or even religion, which is a big thing. Children are oftentimes confused, and oftentimes they do want to please the parent, whether the parent is right or wrong. And that can be the damaging point for teachers. That can be the damaging point for leaders. That can be a damaging point for big brother institutions, for mentors, or even step-in dads who is the substitute parent, the substitute father of that child who's been through some things. So those who aren't in a teaching position, those who don't like children, or they just don't get along with themselves, or they're just not good teachers. They don't have they're not interested in leading anyone, anywhere, have a hard time comprehending how difficult the task is. Because years ago, it was trying to educate a child based on arithmetics, basic studies. It will be math, it will be reading, it will be history. Then you have special music class, or you have gym time. And there are, of course, there are classes where there are students that are specific to one teacher. Then, of course, as you get through the later end of middle school versus high school, they start practicing shifting from one subject to the next. As soon as the bell rings, they go from math class to the reading class, from there to home ec, if they still have that in school now. And so they move, so that teacher circulates from one classroom to the next versus whoever's signed up for their class or their teaching. But the struggle is not that anymore. It's not just teaching them the original basic studies of 1 + 2. Now the teacher, as what I know and experience, has to teach the child to a degree how to maintain their self-control, or they have to stay in line, or they have to know how to have proper conduct. And that's where the difficulty comes, because when children are at home with the parents, they show one face. They'll show you one thing. They'll tell you as parents, what you want to hear. But the other side, they would never tell you. And it's not the side that they've been abused or hurt. No, it's just them having a split personality, because oftentimes the parent cannot be the confidant. The parent isn't going to be the friend, no matter how hard the parent tries to work to get to that side of the child. There are success stories depending on how honest the parent is. Like I often tell you, that it is better to be honest. It's better to be honest with your child. And when you are reprimanding them, or you put them on some sort of discipline, or when you are telling them what they need to know, it's always best to explain it to them thoroughly as to why you are doing a thing, why you are telling them to do something, why they should do a thing. And as you are explaining to them, they may not get it at first, but while they're doing their tasks, eventually they're going to ask questions to themselves as to why I'm doing this, why I'm doing chores, why I'm washing the car, why do I have to watch my baby sister, why do I have to keep the refrigerator closed, why do I got to mop the floor, why do I have to cut the bathroom light off, so forth, so on, right? When they ask that question to themselves, your voice will come up in their subconsciousness. Your teaching will come up to them. They will remember what you said, and the lesson begins. The lesson begins. So therefore, it will prevent them from being angry. It will prevent children from getting mad at you by telling them what to do. See, if you just tell them what to do and you don't tell them why, it don't matter how old they are, whether they're 23 or they are 3 years old. If you just tell them to do something and you do not tell them why, when they begin to question themselves as they are doing the chores that you are requesting for them to do, or in their mind, you are requesting, in their mind, you are demanding them to do. That's in their mind because you didn't explain yourself. So as they're doing the chore, they clean it up, cutting off the lights, they're watching over your responsibility, doing your job, your task, being compromised for their youth and their growth and their learning because you live a busy lifestyle, because you don't want to make provisions for them, because you're too busy to show them what life is all about. They'll look at you as the enemy because you don't explain nothing, because you never taught them anything, because you don't explain why you tell them to do a thing. So they only will look at you as a taskmaster. They can only look at you as a hard dad and a hard mom who is just demanding and overbearing. When this happens, then they have no lessons. Now they are building up a split personality because of you. Now they are going to hide the fact that they like other things. They have different prospects of life and they have other feelings. But when they come around you, they're going to give you only what you have created, which is the pretend Frankenstein. It's no different than And I'm gonna bridge this over here, and then I'm gonna get back to this subject. It's no different. It's the same, but just to give you an idea, it's no different than in the days where I used to date, and I used to meet plenty of women, and I had several rules of the things that I would not ever do when meeting them or in our first interaction. And one of the things is tell a woman what type of woman that I like. That was one of the biggest rules, not to ever tell her what kind of woman that I like. Yes, the principles would be there, or what I will stand for, what I would not stand for, so forth, so on. All right, etc. But as far as telling her the way that she carries herself, how she has to look, what culture, what color eyes, and just everything of that nature, I would not say anything about it. I'd say, well, just be you, which would be my general expression. Be yourself. And I have learned through studies, the reason being the natural, normal type of human person who wants to get on your good side, who wants to be on your team, and they want you to like them, they're going to dress according to what you stand for. The girl, she would eventually try to put on a pretend face that she knows that that I prefer. So what I was preventing was her being a liar in front of me, she put on a certain face, she'll sit a certain way, she'll act a certain way, she will carry her day with a certain type of personality only for pretend. So she becomes a chameleon immediately because it will be my fault. I made her to be that chameleon, but once she goes home, once she is around her girlfriends, once she leaves and she's out of my sight, she'll take off the nun outfit and she'll put on her stripper clothes. She'll pull out her hair that's once in a bun and she'll let her hair down. Take off the crucifix, which I don't care about anyway, but she'll take off the crucifix and put on some other wild type of jewelry around her neck and her fingers and so forth and so on, and start revealing tattoos. So she will transform from that type of girl that I want her to be to what she really is. So therefore, I don't tell her what I would prefer for her to be. Attitude or how she needs to conduct our relationship is one thing altogether, but the type of girl that I like is a different story. And so what will happen is that girl will pretend for a long time to be that type of girl that I want her to be, but she would not be. She will be a liar. She'll be a chameleon. And therefore, I would never have her true honesty in her honor. I would never be able to see the real type of girl unless I catch her off guard, which have happened several times. There was a few times where I've had to learn the hard way. When they ask you, and I recommend men, if they ever ask you that, do the same thing. Don't do it. I've learned that when they ask you, what type of girl do you like? Do not ask that question. Do not answer it. You say, just be you. Whatever girl that I like is whatever girl that is suitable or companionable for me, and she can peer bond. Leave it as simple as that. Call it a day, close the book, and smash down the mallet. That's it. If you answer those questions and you go further than that, you are giving her the tools to pretend for you. You're giving her the tools to put on the very thing that you are wanting her to do. Now, if you just want to have a good donkey dunk fun, then have at it. Okay, you want her to be temporary. You want her to cosplay for you. Women are good for that. Okay, she will don her pretend face just for the moments that you are together. All right, just to get whatever proceeds and energy and time, or in most cases, more than half your money. Okay. And then don't expect any serious relationship. Okay, don't allow it to go even further than that. And don't expect for her to be anything that's important in your life. All right, because it's going to fail. And it has 99.9% of the time. Okay. But if you want this girl to be true, you don't tell her what you prefer. You don't tell her what you prefer. You tell her your standards. Sure, what you would tolerate, what you do not tolerate. But don't tell the type of girl that you like, so she can be herself. She can be real. She can be real to be herself, and she don't have any grounds to pretend. She can't find the type of girl that you like, so she have to just be herself, because you're not giving her a directive. You're not painting a picture for her. She needs to paint a picture for herself and show you what kind of Picasso she is, okay, by her natural instincts and her energy, which is a lot more healthier. So tether that to children. All right. Yes. Tether it to children. When us as parents, or you specifically, when you tell a child what you expect from them without any explanation, you don't teach them nothing. You don't tell them why. You don't tell them that this is preparation for adulthood, and you break it down to them by its history. Break it down to them by the reason why. Break it down to them as to the reason why you're saying what you're saying. Therefore, they understand, I understand what Dad's saying. It's almost like Karate Kid, Daniel-san and Miyagi. All right. It's no different than that. It's real talk. Daniel-san was getting frustrated. Miyagi was just telling him to wax on, wax off. Just wax the car, wax it on, then you wax the wax off. Daniel-san didn't know what he was doing. He had no idea, to the point where he was frustrated. Even when it came to painting Miyagi's bamboo house, something like that, to stain the wood, and he was staining it up and down, doing a karate block, virtual up and down. And he didn't know what he was doing. All Miyagi said was paint this wall. That's it. Just paint it. So what happened was Daniel-san got frustrated. He was mad. He was a bit upset, where he wanted to rebel against his sensei, Miyagi. You're frustrated. Right? And he didn't know he was being taught the whole time. But however, in this generation today, because everything is sensitive, because there's lots to deal with, because we have too much negative than we do positive. I like to be positive, but it's too much negative that's fighting against positive. Because we accept negative in our life. We produce negative because we are negative ourselves. Positive barely has an opportunity. So the chances of your child's success is very slim to none. So they have more of a encounter of situations that's going to put them in the bad ending, that's going to hurt them, that's going to get them hemmed up, that's going to make them a lost child, that's going to make them get ran over or pistol whipped by somebody around the country, because of the way that we are preparing them for the real world. So it's no longer a Daniel-san and Miyagi situation where you can just tell them something and let them figure out. If they figure out the lesson, usually a lot of the kids will not survive from it, because the lessons they're not hard knocks on their head anymore. It actually splits their head. It hurts them and put them in the hospital for a long time, and a concussion, meaning they have downtime in their life. They end up in juvenile centers. They end up in prison. They end up in the courtroom doing 5-6 years away from you. They end up being completely restricted from things, no driver's license to the age 30, just all sorts of devastating things for them, because it's not that time anymore. All right. So therefore you have to, and don't really have a choice if you love your children, whether they, again, are an adult, when they're 8 years old or 40, it don't matter. When you tell them something, you explain why. You tell them why you are doing that. You let the cat out of the bag, because they don't have time, nor do they have mercy from their environment to make mistakes as much as they used to. Yes, they still have a future. If they're 14, 15, they can make mistakes and risks, but not as much as they used to, because the doors are closing, because Agent Smith and Agent Smith systems around you in a westernized world makes his money off of your failure, and makes his money off of targeting your children. And Agent Smith makes his money off of making sure that your children is going to be the next generation of adults who are going to create even more failures. All right. Do you get that? I expect for you to have gotten that. OK, if you don't get that memo now, you will never get it. So therefore, the teaching is relevant. It's important. Hey, son, I told you to do this because of this, and that. If you don't do it, this, and that's going to happen. And if you don't prepare it correctly, this, and that's going to happen. You got it? Yes, Dad, I get it. All right. So I'm going to go to work. Therefore, whatever conditions that the boy put himself in, he knows now. Now he knows, he has an idea. It may not be at your adult level or as smart as you know it to be, but at least he knows. At least he has an idea that Dad told me. He told me, that if I leave the oven on and it's gas, and I decide to go upstairs and play PlayStation 4 or 5 now and leave it on at a high heat, that something's going to burn, or the whole kitchen's going to burn, or I can burn the food and the pot's going to start catching on fire, so forth, so on. And then we have struggles and troubles. Okay. Or, Dad told me if I turn on the gas and it's just clicking and I smell the gas, that the gas is going, I need to turn it off. Otherwise you can create gas smell like rotten eggs. Okay. When I do that, I don't need to be in the kitchen trying to smoke a blunt. All right. I don't need to be in the kitchen trying to smoke a cigarette because I think I'm cool because mommy and daddy's gone. All right. I smell eggs. I don't know what that is, but daddy told me what those egg smells was. And I hear a hissing sound. So I better not light the cigarette. All right. But for parents who do not comprehend what I'm saying, you will be surprised. You will be surprised how many that they do not see it as severe as this. They don't see it. What happens is, we have an oops situation where, I have this child just because I just had a child by nature, just because, I didn't protect myself, and here's the child. Really didn't want the child, but now that the child's here, I'm going to be a responsible adult and take care of the child, but I'm not going to raise the child. There's a difference between taking care of your child and raising the child. There's a difference. They got a word called rearing your children. Okay. When you're just simply taking care of your child, anybody can do that. Any caretaker, anybody in the world can just take care of your child, feed your child, put your child on the bus, tell your child to do the homework, keep the doors locked, keep the child safe, whatever else that needs to be done. That's really easy. But raising a child is a totally different level, where you are preparing the child's future, where you are teaching that child. You are explaining the road of existence. I didn't say life. Life is something they're going to have to figure out for themselves. I said existence. Explaining the road of existing here on planet Earth. How about that? Make it very simple for you. So give them a better comprehension of how they could better function and maneuver here on planet Earth will help them with your elements and your understanding of what you have experienced, and when you don't hold anything back. All right. Now you're raising your child. Now your child will be a proper individual for themselves and for others eventually. And they will understand what they are doing when they do a thing. But the killer part about it is that there are too many parents, again, who have the oops situation. They get involved in a relationship and they think that having a child with someone is going to lock them down forever. They think that their baby's mother is going to be completely loyal to them for 18 years. And she's not going to change. She's going to stay 100 and, what's that? What's a good weight? 120 pounds. Okay. But he greatly mistakes himself, and a huge mistake, because at 120, about, the second year, she's about 160. Okay. But, you just over exaggerating. No, I seen it. You'd be like, who is this girl? Oh, you remember her from 2 years ago? Yeah, but she looks totally different. Yeah, that's my wife. But, oops, what did she swallow? like what this, excuse me? But it happens. It does happen, because these men make bad decisions and they don't know that they're getting a repackaged deal. And again, this is about children on this one, but some of you who are in a relationship, are getting ready to get in a relationship, you need to understand something crucial when it comes to getting a repackaged deal. I teach often on my channels that you must take care of your health, stay in the gym, eat properly. When a man meets a woman, and men and women have their variations, but I know this because of biology and science. Okay, because women have more fat count than men do. Men have more muscle mass. So it defeats the purpose of them gaining weight, even though they do, depending on what type of dude he is, which I'm not going to talk about right now. Okay. But on the general, often she struggles more with her weight than she does with flab. Flab don't come to in the future, so she ends up, blowing up really easy, and she's sensitive to calories, to fats, and stuff like that. All right, because her body's made that way to nurture the child on the often. Okay, it's made that way chemically because she can't be made out of steel and iron and have children. She have to have some type of flexibility and fluidity of her own chemistry itself. So she is a lot more sensitive than a man is when it comes to chemicals, to smells, to toxins, and to sickness. All right. But if she have not taken care of herself for so long and she has been eating bad, she's been donkey dunking with just about almost everyone, in her classroom, her college dorm, out of 10 men that's around her, 8 of them have had an opportunity. One of them's working on it. The other one, he's just in waiting for the far future. Okay. That type of girl has a ticking. She has a time on her where that time is going to stop, meaning her biology of that type of power to be able to donkey dunk like that and still be able to look attractive or look good. So after several years, when she hits about, I would say, close to 30 to 31, 32, around that age. Okay. Some even 27, 28, you start seeing it at 27. If she hadn't been taking care of herself, you would definitely see it at 27 if she hasn't taken care of herself. But at 32, if she never taken care of herself, that's when things begin to become completely apparent, where grandma is that 32-year-old woman. And you're like, oh my God, they switch places. But the trick is, it's almost like, look at it like this, and I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna get back to the subject of children. Look at it like you have let's just say an exploding or an expanding balloon, and you take this expanding balloon and you wrap it in string. You wrap it in string, and the string is thin. It's like a cylinder, right? In that cylinder is that balloon, which pressure and compresses. So it's adding so much pressure on the woman's body. So, right? When she's not taking care of herself, the pressure increases. It increases when she's not working out, not going for a walk, not eating the right food. She had 2 children already, which is really one of the, when she has a child, that's really the tipping point right there. Some women, they completely lose weight. Others, they gain more weight than what they ever used to, and they stay that way because of baby fat. Okay. And another reason that is because they allow themselves not to be taken care of. They didn't do what they need to do to invest in their health. Okay. Anyhow, what happens is, if she takes care of herself, eventually, as time goes on, pay attention to Morpheus. I'm trying to show you something here. As time goes on, the string will loosen up. With age, the string's going to loosen up, and the compression that's on the inside, okay, of that balloon will start revealing itself and pretty much expanding. All right. So that's why you get from 120 pounds to 130 to 140, 60, 70. God, she's 320 pounds. What's going on? Because that string loosens up. Right. And sometimes they can get away with it. Maybe they'll stop at 150 pounds and, they're back and forth in the gym and they're trying to work it out, but if they have not taken care of themselves, that compression builds because of chemistry. She's not doing anything to work off the calories, the fat, and, she's not going for walks. She's not eating the proper food. She's just going to fast food, McDonald's. Every time you see her, she got Burger King or Haagen-Dazs in her hands, or she's going to the slushy center, which is the gas station. She's always going to the drink fountain with the nasty tap water, nasty high fructose corn syrup, sugar. All right. She always got to have her Debbie snacks. The list goes on and on and on because it's all the way around you. She goes to the candy aisle every now and then. She got to have a lollipop because of that nasty sugar goes straight to the brain. All right. The instant drug of sugar. So what will happen is that compression builds inside the string or the cylinder. And it's a very strong compression to where it loosens up the string. Listen, it loosens up the string sooner than later, where she starts decreasing and declining her health sooner than later. She starts pressing against the string to the point where the string can no longer hold. So therefore, she begins decreasing in health, in looks, and in body shape, where that compression just pushes the strings away, where it untethers itself And by the time she's 28, 29, she can't walk through a doorway. She's big because the strings broke free, and therefore thereafter you can't repackage it. You can't do it. So what happens is what men would do, you will get this girl, she'll lie to you and say that she only had like 3 boyfriends in her past life. She's been a good Christian or a Catholic. She's been only concentrating on her college degrees, all that. She would tell you all that, but nature tells you something different. I made an audio log not too long ago. It's called, I got a name for it, but some of you may remember I said the song called I Fought the Law and the Law Won. The law not meaning the law of the land, meaning the law of nature. You fought law and the law of nature won. So what will happen is nature ends up coming. Nature ends up being the law. Nature ends up being the judge, as it always is. And so she can lie to you as she wants to. So you marry her and she's 27, 28, or sometimes 26, depending on where she's at in her life. Okay. The whole time she's wrapped up in that string with compression. She's wrapped up real tight. The compression's there. And over the years, 28, 29, 30, 32, that compression will push away the strings and reveal what you married, will reveal what you have. So this is the expression, a repackaged woman or a repackaged deal. Okay. You don't know what you're getting. And then next thing you know, by the time she's, 35, 36, something like that and on, she's just really not the woman that you thought for her to be. And then you had children by her, which if she didn't take care of herself, makes her body worse and pushes the strings out even further. Now you in a marriage, now you have this child who you are responsible for. But yet you're not understanding that the child is a priority, but you are conflicted because now you're conflicted with this woman that you've been with for 12, 13 something years and you really don't want to be with. And so the child's standing there like, but, Dad, I need some attention here. Dad, help me out. Dad, it's all about me. Okay. So in accordance, tethering to this subject that I was talking about, these are unique cases as well of why children will be overlooked when mom and dad come home and mom and dad just tell the child what to do. And they're too exhausted, don't have the motivation or the inspiration to sit there and explain themselves to their children. For one, they feel like they don't have to explain anything to their own child. And for two, oftentimes they have an attitude because they don't want to be in the same kitchen, the same bedroom, or the same dining room, or the same house as that woman or that man who they really did not want to be with to begin with, that they really did not know to begin with, that they didn't get a chance to, they didn't give themselves time to evaluate first, and they rushed right into the relationship, not knowing anything that I just talked about a moment ago about science and chemistry and the biology of the woman. And oftentimes some men as well are like that. It's a rare occasion, but some men are like that too. They can be wrapped up in string, and this woman is 120 pounds and he's 340. Or he just ended up having so many health problems because he was he was on the football team when he was in the later ends of grade school. Just, I don't think that was like practice football. It wasn't anything serious. Now, I don't think, depends on their curriculums now, to middle school to high school. And he's been he was everywhere. Had a rough lifestyle. He was the one that was in juvenile every now and then. He was the one who had F's. He was in the back in the classroom. He was the one going into his dad's beer stash and his dad's cigarette stash, thinking he was cool and living a very rough, dangerous lifestyle. And the pretty little Catholic girl who thought this man was cool because she's attracted to bad boys because mommy taught her how to do that. She gets with this bad boy and he's a repackaged deal. And now she's stuck with this guy who's practically on his way out of the door, and she's still 120 pounds, and she still has a little virtue and a lot of life left over. But now she's stuck with this ugly dude, and she regrets. Now she has a maybe 17 or 16-year-old and a 16-year-old and a 14-year-old child by him, and there's nothing much else she can do. She's stuck in the marriage now and want to adventure the world and be around, but she can't. She can't. She trapped herself down to the marital contract, and that's the end of her world. So So yes, it does work both ways. I'm just giving examples here, and therefore the child ends up hurt because you don't want to be at home, and you just really don't want to invest in it anymore. So it's more like, hey, wash the dish because I told you to. Wash the floor because I told you to. Keep the doors locked because I told you to. Do this because I am mom and dad because I told you to do it. Do it because I said. Do it because I said. I said because I'm the parent, and then you're, in the eyes of the child, you are a dictator. You are evil. You know, the child don't like you. Then that's how they build up their secondary personality. This is how they come in front of you, just like I told you about the relationship, and they'll pretend to be this good child, this nice child of some worth. But when you turn your back, they will do things that will make your face pale, and you won't find out until it happens at the last minute, or the officer comes to your door with your teenager in handcuffs and tell you what your child did that you never knew about because you was a evil dictator. Okay. And at all merits, you should have thought about that before you had the child, and you should have thought about that when you looked at your mate. And consciously, by drunking or undrunkenness, you should have been more aware that you are responsible for creating the future of America. All right, so on to the subject. So the question was the differences between the children now and the children then. Now, I would ask, well, not ask, but I would tell you that homeschooling in the during the tough situation in the country have been a blessing and a curse. It's been a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is it was allowing and have allowed the parents to see what they have been missing the whole time. Forcing them, if not putting them in a situation to do for their children what they wasn't otherwise doing. Okay, so it was it was a blast that way, particularly not for me, since I didn't have to sit there and do that, even though I was the assistant. But because they put themselves in that situation, they were able to see their real responsibility of being the teacher of the child, of setting up their computer at home, making sure they do their homework and folders and stuff like that the teachers deliver unto them. And I was able to see the skills of the parents themselves, whereas they were, out of touch with with educating, out of touch with the computers, trying to figure out how to get the computers set up and to teach the child what they need to do. How do they toggle here, and, what classroom and school that they're going to be in that day, and wait for the teacher conferences, things of that nature. It's been a blast, but it also has been a reality check, because I'm also able to see a lot of children that they gain the frustration of the parents. And that's what we must understand. Children pick up the slack of the parents. When the parents are frustrated and going through some things, the children pick up on that as well. And sometimes they take it even harder. And I can see it on their face, and they're just stressed out and they're frustrated, but yet they're just kids. They're just kids. And it's the lack of that parent's ability. The lack of that parent's intuition and that parent's concern to try to dive into that child's life. Whereas the whole time that child has just been there, they just, like I told you, they was just a caretaker for the child, but not somebody who was raising the child. So it becomes very apparent. Now, if it wasn't for, I would tell you this, if it wasn't for my obligation, my love of children in the future and people, if it wasn't for my personal dedication, just doing and giving my time and energy out of pocket, I would not advise trying to get involved in trying to be a part of the current family of the westernized civilization on a general basis, because there's so much to deal with. These children aren't being raised with a good watchful eye. And I've seen a lot of children who they build up, I won't say habits, but they come up with strange words, strange phrases, and they act in certain ways that I begin to question. So when I question the child or their friends and say, hey, where did this child get this from? They will usually tell me that they get it from television. They get it from TV. I know when the mom is in the kitchen cooking, she will allow the child to watch whatever. And this is the thing. And you would think that it's harmless, whatever is on the, PBS channel and kids channel, stuff like that, or what do you call that? The Agent Squad channel. Just little things that children watch. You do not, and it's advised, but it's kind of hard to make it realistic in the mind and the hearts of most parents, because we have a habit of being so busy and making an excuse of it. I just don't have time to do that. And I'm just so busy 24 hours a day. I got to cook. I got to clean. I got to do laundry. Excuse. Yeah, we know that. But you still have the child at the end of the day. No, the child is still in your front room watching TV or on your couch. So you can't get away from that responsibility, regardless of the excuses. The one thing that you don't want to do, and which I have learned, and it makes a lot of sense, is allow the television to teach your child. The television should never be the teacher of your child, and so many parents have done that. They'll go and they'll do some working out in their room, or maybe they'll clean up and cook in the kitchen. They'll go outside and take the trash out, and yeah, you think the child is okay sitting there being educated by the television, but there are some subliminal messages and some various situations that can arise through those channels that teach your child something differently than what you want your child to know of. You know, they start coming out of the house talking about stuff that are creepy. Like, what's creepy? What do you mean creep? You know, where you get creepy from? And the girl will point to a bug on the wall, spider or something like that, or a cow. Oh, that's creepy. Where you get creepy from? Where you get creepy from? And I begin to think, okay, well, I also hear adults saying the same thing. You got, teenage to adults. They be, oh, this guy's creepy. This guy's over. He's sitting here and this guy's creepy because this guy's approaching me and he wants my number. He's such a creepy. He's a creep. He's a creep. And you would think it's something that's very innocent. When the child talking about a bug, which we all think they are kind of irritating and they fly all over the place and they're ugly looking. You can say they're creepy. But little small things like that can transform to something that you have to deal with as an adult today, where you run across this 27-year-old so-called woman and she's calling you a creep. Well, where you get this creep from? Creep's supposed to be limited to animals. Why don't you say it's nasty looking, or something like that, or strange. Even sometimes some guys may get that as well. Oh, he's strange because he's kind. He's nice to me. He opens up the door for me, so he's strange. He's a creep because he told me he was going to call me at 9:00 and he did. He's a creep. But as you may think, that's a very, very small thing, a very small example. But there are other things that the children will come up with their own ideal and imagination that parents have to be careful of, because oftentimes when you turn your back on your child, their imagination runs wild. And children do stupid things. Kids just do stupid things. And the more they are neglected and they're left to their own devices, the more stupid things they are going to do. But I'm going to outline something that I've also learned through my studies. The biology is a very important thing, such as the parent. Who is the parent, which is a big thing. Having a male gender or a female gender there makes a really big effect. And I don't want to get too deep into this because it may bridge a big misunderstanding for a lot of people who are misdirected. Okay. And it's a lot of information that is available around the globe and YouTube and in your westernized civilization that needs a lot of cleansing. And I'm not going to get myself involved in that. Okay, I'm just going to tell you from my experience and keep it very simple, where you can't debate with my experience because it's what I know and what I have seen. Okay, so therefore you can't tell me what I have seen. All right, I can tell you what I've seen. You can't. So you can keep your debate to yourself. But what I have seen and experienced is that there is a difference when a male come onto the scene versus a female. Okay, there is a thing that men have, and I'm going to keep it very shallow, and I'm not going to even go into the depth of it. If you follow my other audios, you can probably pick up pieces and crumbs of what I'm talking about. But there is a certain authority that men have that women cannot have when it comes to children, where they have a certain energy about themselves, where they don't have to raise their voice at a child to tell the child what to do. They don't need to
go above and beyond their comfort zone in order to make sure that their child is going to be obedient, or at least to listen to them. In my studies, I've often noticed if there's a caretaker or a child outside, or she's in recess or he's in recess or something like that, and the father comes out the door, he's standing right there. Okay. He will speak in a very neutral tone, say, hey, you know, you're not supposed to be doing that, or get off that tree, or what did Leon C say, or what is this over there, or why you throw that ball like that? And he's very, very calm with it. And the child will stop in mid stride and say, okay, yes, sir. All right. And be done with it. And, they won't attempt it again. You know, they won't even think about doing that same activity without looking over to see if their dad's standing there. But what women would do, what I have experienced as well, is yell. They get very emotional about it, and they will get at that child's level in order for the child to understand them. And what will happen is, when they're yelling at the child do not quite understand. That's what the lesson is. That's what the lesson is with that interaction that we don't usually get. The child's looking at you as if you're just arguing with that child. When you're yelling and you're threatening the child, and I told you not to do this. Get your and get a twig. I'm about to get this stick over here. What I tell you? And the child do not comprehend that. Children don't comprehend that. All they will comprehend afterwards is when you do pick up the switch, or the flip flop, okay, or you whatever that you do, or you take the toy away, or you sit them in the house, yank the bike out of their hand, and you say, you know, go to your room, all that sort of thing. That's what they will understand. But the argument is what they will not understand. When you are yelling at a child, in the child's mind, it's an argument. Listen, it's an argument. It's not an understanding. It's not understanding. What will happen is this child will disrespect and disregard you and your verbiage as just an emotional display, not a logical learning mechanism. They'll look over the fact and they'll just think that you're just like you stepped on your toe or something like that. Or are you mad because you got stung by a bee and now you yelling at them for it? That's their comprehension. That's their level of intelligence because of your yelling and screaming and threatening and get out of this aisle. What I tell you, I've seen children still run out of the street. I seen a 5-year-old run directly out in the middle of the street. And the mom ended up chasing the child out in the street. She'll yell at the child, what you doing out here? Rah, 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 rah. I told you that. And then grab the child by the arm, you know, pull him on the sidewalk. And don't you ever do that again. Da, 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 you know, whatever. Okay, you know, the child ends up confused with big eyes and, you know, kind of frustrated and trying to understand at the same time. But there is no conveyance. There's really not a lot of logic there as you may think it is. The child's still confused. The child don't understand because the child's thinking of it as just a simple argument. And I'm going to teach you something at the end of argument too. I'm going to give you something. I'm going to give you some power when it comes to that. I'm going to tell you what I do, and I'm going to give the method to you as well. So therefore they don't get it. But what some men do when I watch them is just stand by. He has his arms folded and all he do is give her or him a look. Or just stand there and say, I told you not to do that, with a very small tone, with a very neutral tone that doesn't have to go above yelling. And some of the blue pill beta men who are raised up, I ain't gonna go there, who do the yelling as well, ends up not really getting across the child either. The child still don't understand him because he's being the emotional argumentative person as well. They are becoming at that child's level. So there's no conveyance. So when you see a mother just yelling at the child, you wonder why she's doing it. It's out of habit. It's not something that built up overnight. It's something that happens all the time. So the child is just hearing noise. Did you hear what I said? Did you hear that noise? The child is just hearing noise, not action. The action is when after you frustrate yourself, you get gray hairs, a hurt back, sore feet from running all over the place, and you're stressed out because you keep yelling at that child to stop or to do something. Okay, so you end up more in punishment than the child themselves. Okay, it's senseless. Now, the method of the madness is this. First of all, it is calm. Second of all, you don't get emotional when you deal with children. Understand that they are children. Okay, you come to them with a neutrality, very much in the medium. Whereas you are negotiating with, you got to negotiate with children most time. You negotiate. Okay. I find myself negotiating, and the simple negotiation should be this. And here's my method. If you care, I care. If you don't care, I don't care. Now, I know as parents that may be hard to do. As a teacher, when you're in a schoolroom, you can't come up with that, even though you can. And you can explain to to the parents exactly why you said that, and that you can't teach their child, because their child is acting a certain way. You can do that depending on how you do it. It's possible, and it's okay, and you won't get fired by doing so, because you're only allowed to teach the child. You are there to be the leader, to mentor, tutor, or whatever for that child. Okay, so if that child is preventing you from doing so, you can't do your job. But you do not argue with the child. And this is what I'm talking about. Here we go. Here's the lesson. You don't argue or debate with a child, with someone who is not at your level. Don't argue with them. You don't argue with somebody who's not at your level. Do not sit there and debate with them. You don't. You negotiate. You negotiate. You don't debate. You negotiate. And I'm going to tell you how you negotiate. When you bring something good to the table, like myself, when I'm around kids and I teach and mentor or whatever else for my friends, and like, I gotta go out of town today, do some construction work. Can you, stop by and check on my kids, make sure they're okay. Make sure they're doing their homework on their computer, whatever the case may be. Hey, can you come watch them? We're getting ready to head out to a boat show. I need you to be there to watch them and maintain things and make things okay. Right. So when I come to the table, I bring just me. I bring knowledge. I bring logic. I may bring some candy. I might bring some balloons. I may bring anything that's nice. Things that might even entertain me. Maybe some chocolate bars or something like that. Organic, right? Because I know sometimes they like the sugar. And sometimes I do it for reward should they get their homework done. Okay. So I give them a option there. And I give them a reward as well. I might tell them something like, well, if you're doing good on your homework and I see you doing well, then you'll be able to go outside and play for a few minutes. I'll let you go outside and, you play your ball. You can play football, go outside with your friends, something like that. Enjoy yourself. So it becomes a good negotiation tool. And oftentimes it becomes a very good bargain that they can't deny. It's what they call that? It's an offer they can't refuse. It's an offer they can't refuse. And sometimes I'll say, you know what, I'm going to get some pizza this weekend. But if you're not going to do well on your homework, or if you don't listen to your mom or your dad, if you're not going to be obedient to them, you're not going to get any pizza. And I'll just, take it to the next family, person, whatever else. So they begin to think about immediate consequences. Immediate consequences. You don't have to, it's not about putting your hands on them. You have to raise your voice. Negotiate with them. So what ends up happening is I don't do it all the time. I'll just nonchalantly be there with nothing and say, okay, I'm going to teach. We got to do this. We got this plan to do here today. Let's see what the teacher gave you today so we can go over it, especially during the homeschooling days, which I told you, it's been a blast. It's a blast. And it can be trouble for some parents who aren't as sharp as they need to be. Okay. So when the child acts up, as you would say, or when the child don't want to do their work, or when they are having a bad day because of something that their parents have done, okay, and then I end up being the fallback guy, okay, when they get out of line, I usually say, well, if you don't do it, then that's fine. I won't do it. I'll just pack up my stuff and I'll leave, put my stuff in a suitcase and call it a day. Now, in the child's mind, they begin to really realize what they're going to be missing. First of all, they know that their parents, our mother, is not going to like the fact that they don't want to do their homework. So they looking at some type of retribution there. Okay, they're going to get in trouble, especially when dad come home. Okay. And two, they're going to be missing out on the opportunities that they can gain, such as going outside, playing, eating good food, whatever else that I have to offer to them, or even missing a good big brother figure such as myself, being able to bring light and life into their world. Because some of you as adults and big brothers and big brother programs, Boy Scouts, stuff like that, you will be surprised what type of effect that you are bringing in that child's life. If mommy and dad can't be friend, they're only mom and dad. So when you are the different person in the family, you are a friend, you are a big brother, and you are in the position to open up their world and make life more easier for them. You make them see things differently and you help them. So when I'm able to give them that nonchalant ultimatum, they are weighing the differences and they begin to immediately realize that they're going to lose. They're going to lose. And should they begin to continue to press like, okay, well, I don't care. Fine, you leave, just leave. There has not been ever once, not even one time ever in record period of any type of interaction I ever had where that was a complete walkout situation where I could not teach that child. I couldn't be there. By the time I end up getting my suitcase and I'm getting ready to get up and walk away, it's a regretful situation. It's all tears. It's all, what happened? I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. Tears. Oh, no. Well, I changed my mind. Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. C. Let's negotiate. Here we go. Let's negotiate. Same as if they're outside playing during recess, they're throwing a ball or whatever that they're doing, jumping and run. If they are disobedient, they want to run out in the middle of the street or do something that I otherwise don't tell them to do. You don't have to raise your voice. Just either you do it or, you don't care. I don't care. Fine. Be like, hey, that's fine. I'll just go ahead and tell your mom, I'm going to jump in my car and I'm out of here. And, I'm going to let you deal with the consequences. Usually it's a stopping point right there. They're not going to go any further. They realize there's going to be some trouble ahead. So therefore I don't have to raise my voice. I end up being the guy with my arms folded. All I got to do is say one or two different words and they'll straighten up. They'll do what they're told to do. When you are arguing with the child, when you have to debate with them on any position or any subject that you are supposed to be an adult of, you lose immediately. You lose. When you are emotional with a child and you are raising your voice, you lose. You've lost that child's respect. You lost the child's respect. When you yelling at the child, when the child's in the grocery store, grabbing stuff, kicking stuff all over, throwing toys all over the house, just doing things that are ornery and stupid, you raise your voice, start yelling at them and threatening them, you lost that child's respect and you don't know you lost it. Yeah, the child's going to eventually listen to you, but you are building something in that child's unconscious to their consciousness, okay? Which is a separation between you, your logic, and your emotions, where all they can see is you are just emotional and you are arguing with them. They look at it as an argument, as if you are on their level. If you are not on their level, you're not going to argue nor debate with them. It's either you do it or you don't do it. My classic is hunching my shoulders. Most kids and adults know if I hunch my shoulders, they lost the game. They lost. Because when you bring something better than what they have to the table, when you are the big brother, the big sister, you are providing something for the family, you are the teacher, the mentor, whatever the list would go. They realize that when you hunch your shoulders, like, okay, fine, whatever it is, I don't care. Okay, you don't care? Well, I don't care. Pack your bags and you start getting your stuff moved. They realize they just stepped on a landmine and it's over. There's no need to debate or argue with them. And what will happen is you'll stop the nonsense. You will quit it immediately because they're used to having their way with their parents that way. Because the parents argue with them. See, the parents yell at them. The parents, I told you to clean your room. What I tell you? Oh, let me tell you again. And in the child's mind, whether they're a teenager or a child, all they hear is that's all they hear. That's all they hear. And the only thing that happened at the end of that is action. Whether you, whatever chastising that you do, which is your business. Morpheus will say nothing. That's between you and your child. Whatever you do with them, that's the only consequences that they receive. Other than that, I told you several times. Yeah, you did tell them several times. You yelled at them several times. Okay? If you do the measure that I just told you, if you negotiate and you debate with them and they are debating from an ignorant, childish, stupid mindset as children do, okay, let them keep going there, end up with nothing. They'll be in the room and they'll have like one or two posters, and their bed will be sitting there. No toys, no computer, no cell phone, no smartphone, nothing. Can't go outside and play. And if they don't like it, well, they can go live with their auntie or their cousin or their uncle. Okay. Or somebody else like that. You don't have to tolerate nonsense. So you don't have to yell at them. Just put them at their level. So what will end up happening is they will start learning how to earn their way. They will earn their respect. They will earn your respect. They will earn getting the things that they need. So they'll begin to look at their room. They'll see all the Lego blocks. They'll see all the plush dolls. They'll see the smartphone. They'll see the good chair. They'll see the beautiful bed. They will see everything that they have earned. That they have earned, not through argument. Through, what was I just saying? Through not debating, through negotiation. Through negotiation. Through a very simple small business exchange that did not have to be emotional, but very logical. To them, they don't know it's a business exchange. To them, they don't know it was a simple negotiation. They don't know about that. But they was taught at the same time. They learned something through the progress where you don't have to struggle with them. Okay? Now I can go even further with that, but I'm gonna leave that to another video. But what I would say when it comes to the cultural differences, and I'm not gonna step on landmines on this one, I would tell you this: not a lot has changed. You know, from every other culture when it comes to, you could say, the black community, as they call them, from Mexicans to Chinese, Asians to Caucasian children and so forth. There hasn't been a lot of changes. And I can't go into detail, but I will tell you this. Some of the rumors that you hear about how some of the children are being raised is just about the same now. You know, it's not too much going on because parents aren't getting the memo. You know, they're not getting hip to what's going on in 2020s. And also the teaching is still the same. They're still, kids are still, lackadaisical. It's still, it's fear dynamic here, stranger danger there, the ideal here, Pokemon there, and not much else when it comes to advancement. Only that situation where it calls parents to be to homeschool their children. Other than that, the future is still the same because there's still broken families. There's still children that are forced to be with their aunties or their grandmothers because the mothers ditched them in one form or the other, or there was some type of domestic dispute where the child's not there with their biological parents. But as far as the attitude is concerned, it's a lot more tough now because you got to deal with, now you're really dealing with the parents', I would say, mistake. The children is not the mistake, the parents' mistakes as they've been raising the children. So therefore, when you try to fit yourself into the picture one way or the other to be some type of helper, you're not dealing with just the child, you're dealing with the parents. And oftentimes you begin to see that it's worse than what you thought it was. Then you begin to respect teachers a lot more. And you begin to realize that you're picking up the slack, not for the kids, but for the parents. So you can't get mad at the kids, nor can you be disappointed when they do stupid things. And another bad thing that's happening nowadays, and some of you may be flabbergasted, but it's true. Children are learning how to spit on people. Oh, yeah. For fun and for bad reasons. Yeah. And they're getting it from where? Just a question mark, big question mark. They're getting it from where? They will spit on each other. They'll spit on you. They will spit and think that it's cute and it's fun. OK. And where's this fifthly mentality coming from? You see why you just cannot get yourself involved. Then there's lying children. I've been with foreign children to where they thought I didn't know their language, where the mom would say something that was very sly and sneaky. OK, while I'm sitting there teaching a child, and then she'll say it and the child will respond to the mom. And I'll turn around to the child. What did your mom say? Just to see what the child say. And you know what the child will say? She didn't say nothing. Lying to my face. You know what I did? Correct. I said, I said, your mom said such, didn't she? And the child got quiet. Eyes got big. Looked at me like, how did you know? How did you know? And I said, you know what? You just lied to me. After this lesson is done, okay, I'm out of here. I ain't got time for it. Y'all have fun all by yourself. I'm out.
Okay, that's one thing that any adult or anyone should never deal with, especially as a teacher. As a teacher, if you are in that teacher circle, okay, the moment a child lies to you, it is game over. Let's hold him or fold him. That means there are things that you tolerate and things you do not tolerate. Lying from a child is the beginning of hell. Okay, you got to exit that situation, because after they lie, they will lie about anything, and your life, your freedom will be jeopardized. Okay, just for the child lying, and then after everything is a chaos, then everybody begin to, oh, they just lied, and the child is okay, but your life is damaged. Okay, and that child is lying and acting like that, not because of the child, because of the parents, because of the energy in the home. So if you put yourself in that situation, time to exit. Time to exit. There's been many times I just pack my bag. Okay, y'all have fun. I'll see y'all never again, and I'm out. Done. Okay, you don't let that seed fester. Okay, the moment they think they're slick, they say something like, let's see. Oh, he's, Leon C. He's don't look like he has a ring on his finger. Where's his girlfriend at? He must be gay. Then I turn around. What did your mom just say? Oh, she didn't say nothing. Okay. So you're covering for your mom, and now you lying to my face, and I'm taking my time, my energy, my manhood, my masculinity, everything I have to offer here to help you to succeed. You know what? Okay, fine. I'm out. Y'all deal with that one. I'm out of here. Don't, zero tolerance, period. Because it doesn't get better from there. It doesn't get better from there, because if they lie about that, that means they've been lying the whole time, or they're going to lie even further on more drastic situations. Don't even tolerate it. Get out of there. Okay. And a lot of these teenagers, they grow up simply on lying, and a lot of teachers got to deal with it. They got to dodge. They got to dodge the bullet. They got to duck. They got to do a matrix bend backwards like Neo. Okay. All because parents are just sitting back. Ooh, my children are just so angels. They're angels. They're fine. Yeah, I'm working 10 hours a day, 11 hours a day. My kids are fine. Don't know anything about it. Okay. And please believe the parents going to find out eventually. The teachers are going to say something to them in either a mail or email, something like that. And that way they'll be chastised. But oftentimes the parents are in couth with them, because this is a broken home society. This is a broken spirit society. It's a broken curriculum society. It's broken people raising more broken people. So you're going to end up with a broken result. So therefore, the difference is it's more devastating now than what it used to be. The difference is it's not easy to get into now. The difference is it's worse than what it used to be, and that's not the profession to get into. Okay? I mean, I really have to get paid to get into something like that. Okay, what I do is because of my obligation, my concern, and my love for the future, and I practice what I preach. But if it was for indoctrination and, I got the degrees, here I am in the college dorm, the high school dorm, middle school dorm, grade school, no, I don't think so. No, because you're putting yourself in a jeopardizable situation, because it's not just the children. You're dealing with the parents' creation. You're dealing with the little Frankensteins that most parents have overlooked for so long because they had oops situations, and that story that dumb people are raising dumb people is true. Okay. Where you heard this when some people say, well, intelligent people need to be doing the breeding, and people who aren't so intelligent shouldn't be breeding, but yet they are, and they're able to get away with it. And you have a vast society of corruption. And so you can't put yourself in a situation. All you can do is exit stage right and don't even mess with it. No, it's not even worth getting into or getting involved unless you are a responsible adult yourself. That will be it. But if you're not a responsible adult and got your own kids, it's best not to even deal with it. Just mind your own business, fix your world, do whatever you can, apply where you can apply, and just be sensible. And make sure that parents and other people get the memo and stop living ignorantly. It's Leon C, aka Morpheus. Got more for you. Get that book, 2020 America Rides or Fall Hard for the Future.